Shankar from IEEE. This presentation is actually made because of a request from one of the aspirants of CISSP. This is on the Saltzer and Schroeder Principles. Okay, this belongs to the domain 3, okay, which is security architecture. Okay, now the security is like a philosophy. Okay, there are a lot of people who have spent considerable amount of their life to do a research and come up with certain recommendations. So, Saltzer and Schroeder, okay, presented a seminal paper in 1975, emphasizing on the information security. Not, it said that they said that okay, the asset security is there because of the information security. Okay, because the information asset needs to be secured. Okay, just like the soul and the body. Okay, if you want to catch the soul up, you need to secure the body, right? If you don't secure the body and there's an accident, okay, then the body is gone and the soul is also gone. Okay, let me share the screen. CISSP made easy. Subbu teaches CISSP. Join me for your winning CISSP. CISSP is a very simple certification. Okay, let's not complicate it. If you understand thoroughly, okay, the subject, okay, there is no joy. Okay, there's no limit for the joy, okay, that you can actually enjoy, okay, when you're preparing for the certification. Information security is actually an ocean. CISSP is a part of it. There's a big area to be explored beyond the CISSP, but CISSP will be a first step, okay, towards the information security. So Saltzer and Schroeder, 1975, a seminal paper, this we discussed. So these are the design principles, okay, economies of the mechanism. So what do you mean by economies of the mechanism? Your information security control should be as simple as possible. Okay, the implementation should be as simple as possible. One of the foremost guru on cyber security mentioned, okay, the Bruce Nia says the complexity is the worst enemy of security. Okay. Now, one thing we should always understand that okay, the security controls also have vulnerability. There's nothing in the world which is called as a vulnerability free. Okay. Vulnerability or the strength, okay, the time decides it or the fate decides it. Okay. There always exists a vulnerability until you identify that. For example, if you go to National Vulnerability Database, if the vulnerability has been reported on 1st of March, let's say 2025, okay, that means until the previous day, 28th of February 2025, nobody was aware about the vulnerability. In fact, we have a patch Tuesday, an unofficial term called as exploit Wednesday. Okay, so the Microsoft releases the patch or information about the patch on Tuesday, and the IT team, they need to go for a change approval to implement it. So they will be waiting, okay, until the weekend or something. But the hackers, they don't wait for an approval, right? So they hack it immediately. So it's called unofficial term is called as exploit Wednesday. So economies of the mechanism basically means that you need to have your security implementation or the control implementation. Don't complicate things. Okay, keep it as simple as possible. When you keep things as simple as possible, doesn't mean that you're compromising on security. What I would rather say, because I have worked, we also teach penetration testing, right? So I have worked on IP tables, simple firewall, good. Okay, but if the requirements are complex, the firewall needs to be complex as well. But try to find a simple solution for the complex requirement also. Okay, that's going to help you. Fail-safe default. Okay, when a particular control is failing, it should be failing on a safe way. Okay, for example, when your blue screen is thrown on the computer. Okay, so your hierarchical protection rings are anywhere there. That means that okay, the ring 0 is kernel and ring 4. Okay, so is where the users are trying to ring 1 ring 2 device drivers, and ring 3 is where the application is. So when the application is trying to access the kernel, which is the ring 0, it has to be through ring 1 or ring 2. Okay, but in case if it's going to directly access it, that's when you have something called the blue screen of death. It's a violation, privilege violation. Okay, blue screen of death. Okay, whenever there's a blue screen of death, that means you are safe. It's not compromised. If it's compromised, you will not get a blue screen. So fail-safe default basically means that it will fail onto the safety. So the compromise is actually not done. Complete mediation. Every access, okay, to every object must be checked for the authority. Usually, every every operating system will do it. In case there's a privilege escalation, okay, there should be a flag that is done. Okay, there's alert flag should be there. Okay. Now, open design. The design should be as open as possible. Okay, when it comes to the cryptography, if you want to know how the data encryption standard works, advanced encryption standard works, or an RSA works, so the algorithm is very much available on the internet. All you have to do is to go to the particular site and start reading it. So design is open. In the complete crypto system, the Kirchhoff's principle, only secret in the complete crypto system is actually the key. Okay, it's an open design that gives you an advantage. Okay, if the design is closed, okay, then only few people can test it. If the design is open, everybody can start using it. Once everybody starts using it, okay, if there's a problem, okay, they'll report it to you. Okay, you can. It's like testing with 50 or 100 people and testing with 1 million people. 1 million people can find something for you and they can report an error. Okay, sorry. Separations of privileges. Basically, when a normal, what the action that should be done in a privileged way is something that, for example, in Linux system, okay, whenever you want to execute a privilege statement, okay, you need to do a sudo, okay, and become a root to actually execute. Otherwise, you can be a normal user. There are separations of privileges. There are commands that could be executed only by the privileged account. There are commands, okay, that can be executed by everybody on the system. Okay, there are separation of privileges. Okay, I started my career with AS400s. Okay, we have something to adopted authority. Okay, the privilege for a normal user account will still be maintained, but will adopt the authority of the QSEC OFR, okay, who is the administrator for the AS400. Now let's look at the other principles as well. Least privileges. Now, if you actually look at the SDLC, you have users, you have testers, and you have developers. Testers will have only execute access to the binary or the executable. Okay, they will not even have a read access to source code unless otherwise they are doing a secure code review. Otherwise, it's just the execute access to the binary and executable. And the developer, okay, will have read, write, and execute access. But if you look at the users, okay, they will still have only execute access to the binary or executable. No more, no less. For the data, they might have a further access. Least common mechanism. The channel by which the administrator is doing their activity and the channel through which the users are using the system should be separated. If you look at the way the IT is actually designed, okay, now though we do a remote takeover of the console, but there were times when the console could be accessed. Sorry, the console could be accessed only if you're in the data center. Okay, and you have to get onto the data center. Otherwise, you can access it. Okay, in fact, the remote takeover of the console. Okay, when I was using AS400 was introduced, okay, in 2004. Okay, before that you cannot actually do it. You need to be physically sitting in the office. Okay, and take over the console. Okay, and psychological acceptability. Okay, now if whenever you're going to implement the biometric system, okay, if you're going to say that I have got 5,000 employees and the authentication for all the 5,000 employees based on the biometrics, the acceptability will not be there. But if you're going to let the data center access through a biometric, it becomes a right. It's a privilege. The IT guys will say that no, you cannot enter the data center, okay, without putting on your fingerprint, palm, retinal scan, iris scan, whatever it is. But if you're going to subject all the employees in the organization, okay, to a biometric authentication, it might not work. Okay, the psychological acceptability will be missing. Now, what is the work factor? Work factor is the time that is actually required with the hacker to break the security mechanism and enter inside. In fact, is well discussed with respect to the cryptography. There are two terms, cover time and the work factor. Cover time is the amount of time that you want the data to be secured. Okay, for example, credit card details. Okay, maximum, let's say, even if somebody is a defaulter, 7 or 8 years. Usually, the credit card is valid only for 5 years. Defaulter, 7 or 8 years. Okay, is what you can actually have. So the cover time is 7 or 8 years, and the work factor should be more than 8 years. Okay, so data encryption standard, the key length is only 56, 2 to the power 56. Okay, you will get a value. So divided by the millisecond, microsecond, second, minute, hours. Okay, it will give you how many years it actually takes to recover the key, like a brute force method. Okay, that is the work factor. Work factor should be little more than the cover time. It's too much. Okay, then you'll have a performance impact. Okay, in fact, in my cryptography videos, okay, I'll explain you better. Okay, in depth and how the performance performance going to get impacted if the key size is more. Compromise recording. Okay, now when they say compromise recording, that doesn't mean that you need not prevent the incident. Okay, the incident should be prevented at any cost, whether the incident has happened or it has been stopped. The compromise should be recorded. Okay, SIEM. SIEM will not prevent the incident. Okay, SIM will do what is called as the compromise record. Okay, so the compromise should be recorded just to ensure that this is lessons learned. Okay, next time we don't have this problem again. Okay, this are the Saltzer and Schroeder principle. Saltzer and Schroeder principles, okay, they are excellent principles. If you follow it, okay, we are going to address most of the challenges that we have in information security. The first one, okay, keeping it as simple as possible. Kiss it is what I would actually say. Okay, keep your security implementation as simple as possible. Okay, when I say as simple as possible, I'm not saying that as weak as possible. As simple and strong. Keep it strong and simple is what I would say. Kiss here. Okay, the Subramaniam Shankaran Mitre Bliss. Join me for your winning CISSP training. I'll handhold you for 3 to 4 months with a lot of mock examinations so that you can clear your CISSP examination the first shot. Thank you very much. Write to me on training@iiss.org.uk or +91 Subscribe to channels for the regular videos on cybersecurity, information privacy, and the latest and significant uses. Thank you. Bye bye.